Okay, please.
Okay, thank you, Professor Yang, Professor Zadi, and all the honorable guests. I'm very glad to have this chance to be invited to this forum to presenting you Taiwan's Active Aging Index. Actually, I have been presenting this in Taiwan for many times, and also in international conferences, but this time I'm really excited because Professor Zadi, the creator, the author of AI, is here. So I think that would be very great. We can learn so much from him, and we can have some chances to talk about what's the difference of the same things that we found in Taiwan. And I would like to introduce, these are our research team. I'm Hui-Chuan Hsu. Now I'm in Taipei University School of Public Health. My background is public health, health policy. My major research interest is successful aging, and also I teach about long-term care. And Zhi Liang, his expertise is in social gerontology, and social old age policy, social gerontology. And Professor Lu, she works in Zhongshan Medical University. Her expertise is health promotion. And Professor Zhenfen Chen, whose specialty is in social welfare, long-term care policy. And also we later, Professor Dong also joined us in this project. And what I need to introduce all this research with our member, because active aging is a cross-disciplinary topic. So during our research project process, and not just our research team, but also all the experts we invited are cross-disciplinary. And this is actually a research project supported by Health Promotion Administration, Ministry of Health and Welfare. So now Dr. Lin from HPA also being here. And this was a 4-year project supported by HPA. So during this 4 year, actually we have many meetings with General Director Dr. Wang Yingwei and also other staff from HPA. So this is finally finished. I'm very glad. And also our results have been published recently on social indicators research. It is published online. So if you are interested, you may look at the details of this result. And active aging actually it was first noticed in 2002 by WHO, and we take this study framework in our earlier research framework because actually earlier, I think that's several years ago, we also published a book about the active aging policy we have in Taiwan while I was still in NHRI University. And you know that in active aging, they emphasize active refers to continue to participate all kinds of the affairs in the society and not just being employed or being paid. And also you see that there are 3 pillars in active aging: is health, security, and participation. And after that, we learned that there is an active aging index from European countries. So I think that Professor Zadi just introduced all these 4 domains and each indicators. And not just the AI is now is widely applied in many countries, but also there are also other similar index, such as that Brazil, they use this AI as the basis and add another domain like lifelong learning as an independent domain. And also US, they have another index that's Harvard Index of Society Aging. So we have tried to compare a little bit among them. And the background in Taiwan, I think that many of you have very familiar, and I just need to introduce for Professor Zadi. And not just the aging, population aging is very fast, but also now in recent years, we have this old age policy has been conducted. We have the white paper, include active aging in 2013. And we also, in the last 10 years, also recently, we have a long-term care policy reform. And the HPA, actually, they have this very grand project, Great Talent and Bold Vision Policy for Active Aging. So under this grant project, actually there are 21 or 22 research projects related to active aging. So these are all the different topics under this grant project. So it also not just our project related to constructing Taiwan's active aging index, but also related to Taiwan's age-friendly cities index. And also, like Professor Xu has a project related to dementia, and there are also other like mental health, nutrition, and diet, health literacy. There are so many retirement, and there are so many research projects related to this policy. So this is, I think that HPA really would like to have this research base to support their future old age policy directive. And also all this, not all, but most of these research findings are finalized. So we will publish a book by HPA within all these research findings in this year. Okay. And the purpose of this 4-year project in our constructing Taiwan's active aging index, the government, they hope that one thing is that we would like to constructing AI for Taiwan because the cultural and other social situation is different from European countries. And also the government hope we can be able to compare with international countries. So it means that we need to contain all the AI indicators so we can do the comparison, and that is why we contain all the indicators. And we also add some other extra indicators just for Taiwan. So this is our principles to constructing Taiwan's TAAI indicators. So the first thing is that it should be appropriate, and it can be do the international comparison, and we must have the data to do the comparison, and it should be policy sensitivity. So eventually the indicator should be available and useful for the policy, not just for the research only. And we also hope it can be used for cross-disciplinary and cross-ministry of government. So even though the project is initiated by HPA, Ministry of Health Promotion, Ministry of Health and Welfare, but actually the topic it involves affairs like Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Transportation, and other department in government. So I think that this is a very important thing, that the cross-disciplinary or cross-ministry of government should be collaborate in this active aging policy. Okay, so this is our method. We have this TI drive, and also we, in our research team, we have some suggested indicators constructed, and then we invited here. Actually first we invited many different background in the old age policy related to, we have experts from health policy, social policy, economics, pension, general technology, health behaviors, health promotion, medical geriatrics, and also architecture for the old age, and also many other fields, experts, and not just the scholars and research or professors, but we also invited the government staff in this related government department. So we also invited the staff in Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Transportation, some other staff to be our expert. And we do the modified Delphi method to get collect their opinions. And we also call an expert meeting with 6 senior experts. One of them, 2 of them are the professor in social old age policy, and the other 3 and 4 are from the industry, old age service industry, with community home care and long-term care institutions, and also from the geotechnology. So these service providers also, we included them to give these opinions for us. And we, according to their suggestion, they say that we should also listen to the older people's voices. So we also invited 6 older people with different gender and age and education group. So to listen to them, and we present them. We presented our TAI plan and listen to what they think about it. So in this focus group, actually they told us that, for example, that for the physical safety from violence is not what they concern the most, but actually they concern more about the physical safety from the incidents or injury. The traffic incidents or the injury inside the household, that's what they concern more. So such as this opinions we collected from these Delphi methods, experts or expert meeting and from the older people. And then we have these indicators. And then we also invited these experts to give the weights about between these domains and also between the indicators. Okay, so we have this expert giving us the weights score, and we use the analytical hierarchical process to determine the weights. So for the original AI weights in 4 domains, for the employment, that's 35%, social participation is 35%, health independent and secure living, that is only for 10%, and the last one, capacity for active aging, that's for 20%. But in ours, calculation based on this expert to give us, we got a very different result. So that's why I was trying to contact Professor Zadi at that time. Okay, and then we have this during this process, and then we check. The first thing is that we must check that what are the available data in Taiwan, because this is a very big project, and there are so many data should be used. And what I know is that the EU AI, actually they use the available data that is regularly collected in EU countries. So the first thing is that we need to check what are the available secondary data is available in Taiwan in different sources of surveys, especially for those national representative survey. And for those indicators that we don't have, then we will need to think about what we need to do with this extra indicators collection. Okay, so this is what we have in our, according to our suggestion, in the 33 indicators of TAI. And also you see that we use the 4 STEM domains, so we can do the comparison with AI. And here we also indicated the different level of the indicators, because one of the expert reminded us that some of the indicators, they are individual level. Some are in the household, some are in the neighborhood or community, and some are in the city level or country level, or even the national level. So the data source will be different, and also how do you try to apply this result of the indicator? You need to think about some of the indicator is responding to like a local government's policy, and some of the indicators is responding to the national policy. So we need to indicate all the different levels of these indicators. So I would like to introduce a little bit more about the indicators itself. So for the first domain, employment, we use the same 4 indicators as AI. And for the second domain, not just the blue one is the original AI indicators, and we added the other one that is just that what you add for Asian countries, that because many Taiwanese older people, they participate in other kinds of the social groups. So like the religious or some learning groups or elderly university, many community care centers. We have this different kind of social groups in Taiwan. So there are these forms that they are more likely that older people are possibly to attend. So we add this indicator. And for the third domain, we added the other one. The first one is owning assets, very similar with house, but we do not just include house, but also with other kind of assets. And the second one is that we get this from the suggestion from the older people. They think that the fear from the injury and accident is what they really concern. So we keep this in our indicators. And we also add no severe physical function disability, that is as the same, that no impairment in ADL. And we also add something that no severe cognitive disability. We emphasize here with not severe, because we think mild cognitive impairment can still be active in the community at some degree. So we just define it as no severe cognitive disability. And we also add no severe depressive symptoms, although it is very similar with the opposite of the positive mental well-being, but because the depressive symptom is one of the major issues in health by WHO, so we think that would be important. We can include this indicator too. And we also add this one, primary care utilization for older people with flu vaccination and health checkup, because these two are the policy that we offer for the older people in Taiwan for free. So that is something that I think that our HPL would be very happy to know how many of them are really they can use these two services at the same time. And for the 4 domain others than the original indicators, we also added these 4 indicators. Actually, we borrowed this concept from the age-friendly cities. And we really think that the transportation accessibility, especially for those rural areas, if they don't have this transportation access, they don't have chance to get into the social participation or employment in some cases. So this is one, so they can use all kinds of the transportation, even just by walking or just public transportation devices. And the second one is transportation convenience. Convenience, it means like it is easy for them to get the information, and it can be accessible to pay for the transportation. And actually in Taiwan there are many cities that we have free transportation tickets for the older people. And the third one is the barrier-free spaces. Because when people, we would like to encourage these older people to go outside to do these social participation activities. Whether the environment is barrier-free is really important. And also the social integration and respect, that is more like a software in age-friendly cities. And we define it actually by 4 different questions, like how do you think that older people respect older people, and does this society provide enough like services or commodities for older peoples? They have this design. And do your communities provide activities that older people can join together, not just for the younger people? So it's just, there are some indicators such as this we added in this indicator too. So this is why we get, we calculate all the scores and weights from the expert, and by calculating by the AHP process, we found that actually the domains weights, the 4 domain weights are really close. It's like 24% and 26%. It's really close. And even within the same domain, the weights of these indicators are really close too. So this is the result. So we have some debate and discussion in our research team. So considering the applicability and simplicity in the policy level, so we suggest that for now, we just suggest that the 4 domains can be equal weight for now, and all the indicators can be equal or just close to equal at this stage. And if in the future, if the government think that we should emphasize something more, then we can do some other ways change. And also, we suggest that males and females, maybe we need to stratify those scores to do the comparison. That's for the first phase. And the phase 2, because after we have these indicators, we need to compare these indicators that we suggested and all the data availability in Taiwan. And we found that there are some some indicators that we don't have any indicators found in this secondary data in Taiwan. So in our second year that we're trying to develop these indicators if they can be collected by the survey. So we have this constructed this questionnaire. We do the pre-test face-to-face interviews, and we do some item analysis, test reliability, internal consistency, those kind of analysis. And we also compare what we found in this pre-test result with those very similar indicators results from the existing secondary data. And after some modification, in the phase 3, we have a big survey in Taiwan. And due to the limited budget, we cannot do a nation representative survey. So we choose 4 cities in 4 areas in Taiwan, because the northern, middle, southern, and the eastern Taiwan, we have different lifestyle. So we choose 4 cities in these 4 areas, and each city or county, we choose 2 districts. One is from rural and one is from urban area. So we choose this because we need to make sure that all the indicators are suitable for both the people living in rural and urban areas. Okay, so finally we got more than 700% completed in the survey, and we also trying to. There are some statistics that we cannot get from the survey. We must get it from the government, such as the life expectancy, healthy life expectancy, or all kinds other national level indicators. So this is what we got from Taiwan's AI. So these are the original score, and we have this weight, and after the weight we can get the final score. And this is for male and female, and those weighted score. So after we have this, then we can if we collected that regularly, so we can monitor the change over time. So this is what we got from the total sample in 4 domains. But because this is not the original AI way, so we do not do the comparison at this part. And we also use, because most of them are the individual levels indicators. So we would like to see whether there are any disparity in activation in the older population. So this is what I'm going to present in this IAGG conference this year. So we found that there are something different. This is from, we examined the differences in age, sex, area, and urbanization. And we found that, just give you the easy conclusion here. So we found that the males and people living in rural area, they have higher employment. So it's very likely that those older people living in rural area, such as farmers, they don't have the retirement age. So they just continue to work and until they cannot do at all. And the social participation, we found that the females in higher education has a higher social participation. And this is for the third domain, independent, healthy, and secure living. And we found that the education is very favored in most indicators. And for those people who are older, actually they have higher rate in physical activity. And for the independent living and preventive care, because of the policy support that they use more at this stage. And for the younger age, they have higher rate in no material deprivation, physical safety from injury, no severe physical disability, no severe cognitive impairment. And males have higher rate in physical activities and safety from violence. Females have higher rate in lifelong learning. And those people living in rural area, they have higher rate in physical activity. But for those who live in urban area, you can see they have higher rate in those related to infrastructure or resources, such as medical accessibility, having access, physical safety, and also with no severe cognitive impairment. And this is for the the last domain, for the younger age, they have a higher score in mental well-being, use of ICT, transportation accessibility, and barrier-free space. And we don't find any gender differences here. And higher education is higher in most indicators. And I think the most interesting part is here. For those people who live in rural areas, although those infrastructure is not as good as in the urban area, but they have better mental well-being, better social integration, and social respect. It seems that the atmosphere part, or the software part about age-friendly cities is better in the rural area. And for the urban area, the use of ICT, sorry, this is wrong, and the transportation convenience is better for the urban area. And we're trying to do the international comparison. So of course we will compare with the EU 28 countries according to the 2014 data. And actually we also do another thing is that we choose two benchmark countries, Sweden and Germany. And these two target countries is that we discuss with the HPA to choose them for they have different social welfare and healthcare system. So we're trying to do the comparison, and I skip the result here, but I just give you a very general result here. With most Taiwan's indicators results are just between Sweden and Germany, and surprisingly, the gender difference in Taiwan is not too much. Actually, it's even better than Germany in some indicators. So I think that's quite good for Taiwan. Okay, so I do not indicate put all the indicators results here, but I just give you a brief introduction. For the first domain, employment, Taiwan is compared to the other EU 28 countries, we are ranking at third. And the interesting is that for those people who are older than 65 years, we have higher rate than the average of EU countries. But for those who are younger than 65 years old, we have a lower rate than the average. So that maybe there are some people they retire earlier, not just work until their retirement age. And for the second domain, the participation in society, we are almost the last. And if you look at the details of this indicator, actually the volunteering, caring of the elderly children, those are not too bad, but the lowest one is the political participation. That is the lowest one for Taiwan comparing with other countries. But we collected this in 2017. I bet if we collected this year, it will be higher in Taiwan. And for the third domain, that independent, healthy living and secure living, we are about in the middle at the ranking at 16. Actually, about the healthy indicators, we like physical activities, we are the #1 compared with other EU countries, 28 countries. We are the #1. And our medical access is also like #1 or 2. It's very high. And the low one is like we have a lower in those economic security one. And the last domain is capacity for active aging and supportive environment. We are very good. We are ranking at the second. And it mostly is attributed to we have a high, relatively high life expectancy and really high healthy life expectancy. And the lower is indicator of Taiwan is that education attainment, because the people have education to senior high school or above is relatively low for our older cohort. But I think that in the future cohort that it will be improved. Okay, so discussion. I just mentioned that AI emphasized like employment and social participation. The weight just occupies for 35% for each. So it just occupies 70%. And for the Taiwan, we use equal weight. So I think that is how the final score becomes very different. And I would like to discuss more about the indicators. Should it be as high as good? I I think that we should just explain the indicator just very carefully. For example, that for those social participation indicators is competed with time for each other. So if you have more time in doing work, you don't have time to taking care of your grandchildren or taking care of the elderly people. So it's time competing with your available time. So I think that and also if you have to take care of your grandchildren or take care of the disabled elderly in your household, maybe it also means we don't have the public support for you to use these services. So you have to take care of by yourself. So I think that we need to take care explain this indicator very carefully. And also like, for example, that independent living, for those people who live independently, we cannot judge is like they are willing or they don't have any choice to live independently. So I think that we just need to show this result, but we need to explain what is change or what comparison we need to do. And also, I would like to indicate not only the healthy older adults are so-called active aging. For those further should also be included in the policy, because we also need to make a policy is for all the older people and not just older people, for all the generations. And active aging is not a age segregation. It needs a life course investment. So the early investment causes a larger impacts, such as if we get education, we give better welfare, and then it will give a better result in active aging index. And indicators should be cultural specific or cultural respective. And Asian countries usually emphasize family support and receive less support from the public economic security. So I think after we have this pension policy in Taiwan recently, so we also suggest that we need to recalculate what is the poverty line status, or what is the better threshold, or what is the appropriate social welfare that we need to support for the low-income people. And the differences in rural and urban areas need to be reduced, and we found that there are infrastructure and friendly atmosphere. Two things are both important. And Taiwan, we found that we have better performances compared with EU countries. We have better performance in health-related indicators and capacity and supporting environment of active aging. So even though we don't have the very high score compared with some other countries in the total score, but in the future, I think that we have really good potential to be improved in the future. And we have only the moderate gender differences, and it is expected to be reduced. And the education attainment is expected to reduce. And after we have done this, in the last year, actually, our research team spent a long time to write this policy suggestion for our HPA. So these are what we suggested. We suggest for the employment, we suggest that delaying retirement or progressive retirement, older worker-friendly occupation environment, and health promotion in the intergenerational knowledge transferring, older worker assistance supported service for older workers, reduction of inequality in employment. And for social participation, we suggest friendly and various setting to encourage volunteering, caregiver support service policy, transportation service for social participation, promoting intergenerational integration and in families and age-friendly education. And in the third domain, we suggest continue to promote healthy lifestyle and preventive care, which HBA has done much. And old age poverty and redefine the poverty line after the pension reform. Person-centered geotechnology support should be encouraged. Now that geotechnology is really popular in Taiwan, but most of them are not the person-centered, so older people, many older people do not like to use that. So there's some concept need to be refined. And also the lifelong learning and ICT use is to be encouraged. And for the capacity and supporting environment, we suggest promoting positive mental health, because for now, the mental health policy in Taiwan is just focused on the diseases oriented, but not for the positive mental health promoting. So that is something that we suggest, and we should try to strengthening the community relationship to help this. And age-friendly education, younger age education, that we think that it's not just the old age people's affairs. We should let the younger people know active aging is something that you should know while they are still young. And also the universal design and barrier-free space development, and also the devices are encouraged. Transportation improvement in rural areas and digital divide and ICT user assistance is suggested. And we have some general suggestions for the government. Any irregular data collection should be collected by the central government and provide for the local government. This is what I strongly suggested, and HPA take our suggestion, because many of these indicators are related to the policy conducted by local governments. But usually the local government do not have the ability or they don't have the ability or time to collect this data by themselves. So we suggest that the central government should include these indicators in the national representative surveys, such as that the national health surveys, that is city county representative sample. So the local government can use these indicators and to be their references for their local old age policy. And as I know that the HPL is under processing, there will be a visualization decision-making system with our AI data and also other indicators. So in the future, I think these indicators, and also if they have collected regularly, it will be visualized and open on the website. So not just for the government policy decision makers to use, but also for the public, for the researchers, and even for the silver industry service providers. So they can use these results to give the references in the future. And also the active aging promotion should be by life course perspective. So it's not just you start since you are 65 years, so it should be started while you are younger. And the inequality we found, it should be reduced in active aging opportunities. So, of course, we have some limitation. It's not the national representative data, and this indicator should be reviewed every 5 years. It can be changed with the social changes. And the domains are not health-related, but the initiate department, that is HPA, that's belong to the health department. So I think that the cross-ministry collaboration is not so easy. But we still suggest that such kind of communication and coordination across ministries and departments are necessary. Okay. Thank you.